Marfoogle TV live in 3, 2, 1. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We're going to go over absolutely nuts stories today. We, of course, have a lot to go over. I just did a video over on news. If you guys did not see that, make sure to go share that out. I just talked about that Sunspot Observatory just closed down again. Mysteriously, they are closing down their hiking trails around it as well, all because Mercury was on their platform. It's just wild, especially that same observatory that had all of the history a few years ago. But first, let's get right into the news. We've got largest, and we're gonna go over everything. I mean, you gotta tune in today. We've got absolutely nuts civil disturbances around the country and a huge storm that is going to knock everybody's socks off or make them put 5 pairs on. Largest U.S. electric grid expects all-time record winter demand. Now, this is something that could affect all of us. The problem is when you have such a huge storm and when you have so many areas affected, when you have grids go down, this isn't like a tree topples a power line and you get it back in a couple hours. This is more like it causes cascading failures and you could be out for days or even weeks. That's the problem when you have issues this big. Not to mention, there's a whole side story here about how our grid is not producing the power it needs to for what we are actually using right now. In the future, it's going to get really bad if they don't do something very fast. Winter electricity demand on the largest U.S. power grid, the PJM interconnection, is expected to set an all-time record next week as large swaths of the United States brace for an Arctic blast of cold weather. PJM's 7-day forecast on Thursday morning predicted 144,000 megawatts of demand. Again, that's 144,000 megawatts of demand on January 27th. That would top PJM's all-time weather high of 143,000 set in January of 2025. PJM is the biggest grid operator in North America, serving 67 million people. Oh my gosh, I just heard my kids going, 6-7. Anyways, either way, 67 million people in 13 states and Washington, D.C., PJM has been struggling to keep up with booming demand from the proliferation of big tech's power-hungry data centers needed for the rapid expansion of artificial intelligence. Which, on the regular person's mind, this isn't something that, everybody's like, well, can I get my power or not? Like, do I have power or do I not have power? Well, the problem is they're literally using a lot of this power to essentially power all of these crazy ventures. Well, at the same time, we are one of the countries that's actually behind in generating it. Meanwhile, countries like China, and this is sad to admit, they have essentially half of our grid's power in their surge. The surge that is over what they actually need for their country, that is what they are producing with their solar. They could power half our country with their excess. That's pretty extreme. That's insane to think about. So hopefully we catch up quick. We're going to talk about, of course, Solar Spot. We're going to talk about, of course, gold prices, another $300 in the last week. That $300 is equivalent to countries buying massive hoards of gold like there's some sort of catastrophe on the way. We're going to talk about Elon Musk's. And he just keeps reiterating that everything he has, and vindication, again, for one of the things I've said for years, which is Elon Musk admitting all of his stuff, all of his companies are all made to essentially have humans survive. Man, if you didn't think that guy was an ET before, you might after today. Join us again in just a couple seconds right after our disclaimers. We'll be right back. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, that's kind of hilarious. Somebody said that they've only heard adults saying 6-7. Adults stopped saying it. So what's funny is I almost want to say that you don't have kids in elementary school then, because if you do have kids in elementary school, heck, our kids' school literally did a 6-7 day, where they all literally wore shirts. They all did it. I mean, it was just insane. And the teachers were driving it. So you are correct in that. The teachers were totally driving it. I don't know if you guys have seen the South Park episode of 6-7, but it's pretty funny. Anyways, let's get into it. Let's bring in my co/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam. Hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
All right, so... Sorry about that. Let me fix this real quick. There we go. All right. Dex, let's talk about Venezuela's Delcy Rodriguez and what she just assured.
Wow, so this is kind of interesting. Before we snatched Nicolas Maduro, so earlier this month, Delcy Rodriguez and her powerful brother pledged to cooperate with the Trump administration once the strongman was gone. So get that. She was the one involved. I'm sure others were too.
That's what I called.
She literally said, hey, I'll make a deal. So once the strongman was gone, 4 sources involved at the high levels with the discussions told the media there Rodriguez, who was sworn in on the 5th of January as acting president to replace Maduro, and her brother Jorge, the head of the National Assembly, secretly assured U.S. and Qatari officials through intermediaries ahead of time that they would welcome Maduro's departure, according to the sources. Communications between U.S. officials and Delcy Rodriguez, who was then Maduro's vice president, began in the fall and continued after Trump and Maduro spoke in a crucial phone call in late November. The Guardian has learned that in which Trump insisted that Maduro leave Venezuela, Maduro rejected the demand. By December, one American who was involved told the media there that Delcy Rodriguez told the U.S. government she was ready. Delcy was communicating Maduro needs to go. She said, I'll work with whatever is the aftermath. Imagine that.
So I don't know if you guys remember the show that I thought it was pretty obvious when there were op-eds and there was messaging and narratives that said, hypothetically, if all of this military was down there to take out Maduro, and this happened right before they put the seed in your head that, Delcy Rodriguez, the VP, could take over, Machado could take over all of this, but they mentioned Delcy Rodriguez and said, there's a chance that possibly they already have something going here. We know that they activated CIA in Venezuela before this. So it's pretty obvious that CIA went in there and probably greased some palms, and then they set this up. To me, we have this story about we have the most advanced technology. We have robots popping out of helicopters, shooting 300 bullets per second, sending off a sonic vibe that just made everybody puke. But what if it was actually a little bit less than that? What if in reality we do have that stuff? But what if in reality all of the people just dropped their weapons? All of the Cuban guards were already in on it, and everybody was like, "Hey, he's right there. Yeah, he's playing foosball right now. Actually, you can go back in that back room. Yeah, dude, that knob is kind of weird. You got to kind of turn it a little bit hard, and then he's playing foosball back there. What if it was more like that instead of the piece that came out that sounded much like propaganda? What if it was more like that and Delcy Rodriguez totally set this up with CIA beforehand? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I don't know what to think about it, but again, let me know what you think. And then Minnesota agitators arrested in wake of church invasion, Bondi says. So a bunch of people got arrested. Obviously, a lot of folks are making a lot of videos about this. The main woman who organized it, the African-American woman that was basically saying like, oh, we need to get justice. Well, she just got her own brand of justice. She got arrested. The White House actually posted a picture of her getting arrested and crying as she got arrested. So that same woman that I think she even made a rap song about, we need justice, and kind of made a chant rap song about it. That same woman is now arrested. Of course, Don Lemon is. I don't believe Don Lemon was arrested. That's correct, Dex? Right? Did Don Lemon?
Yeah, we'll talk about it next. But yeah, there's 3 people. So the head of the B and the L and the M there, in Minnesota, as well as the lady who was the head that you're talking about, that was the head of the Racial Justice Network leader. Both of them were arrested. And then if you remember the agitator guy who's been at numerous protests, the guy with the beard, white guy, was running, just screaming and yelling at everybody on video. He put out a video saying, "Come arrest me." Well, he got arrested too. And even Pam Bondi took his video and posted it on her Twitter and put "okay" check mark next to it, since he asked to be arrested. But yeah, he's one of three that are down now.
I wonder why. I guess, around here, if you have any kind of political sway on either side, if you have any sway to the right side, you do not end up on a school board. They said that Alan is a member of the St. Paul School Board. If you are anything to the right, all the schools in Seattle and around Washington, it's like if there's a hint that you might be leaning to one direction other than left, it is not a possibility for you to be on those school boards. So very interesting stuff here. Before we move on, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. If you haven't already, marfuglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF for a device that can ground the signal from both an EMP and a Carrington-level event from the sun in less than 500 trillionths of a second. Go to marfuglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF. Protect your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, generators against all of the above. Again, and it only takes 10 minutes to put in your car. 10 minutes or less. marfuglenews.com/EMP, code MARF. Again, that will give you $50 off per device, and it will help out our channel at the same time. All right, now we have, of course, magistrate judge rejects charges against Don Lemon in connection with anti-ICE church protests. So I saw a couple of the clips of him kind of reacting to what was going on. Those were pretty entertaining. Dex, do you want to talk about this and what happened with Lemon's lawyer?
Yeah, so he was charged in the sense that the DOJ had put together a package. They were going to arrest him, but they had to get the judge to sign off on him. The judge signed off on the other three people that we mentioned earlier, but did not want to sign off on this one. Specifically, it's inferred that because there is this notion that he might be able to claim his First Amendment right as a journalist to get out of it, that it was a little more murky and not as clear cut as the other cases. Some are suggesting that this judge, who is tied to a lot of other decisions that are not necessarily in support of this side, in support of the other side, like January 6th and things like that. He, I think, signed a lot of those. There's some issues there. Ultimately, though, I think what you're seeing is a magistrate judge saying, you know what, there's other ways you can do this. You can go to a judge above me, you can go to a different magistrate judge, or you can just go the regular route, which is get a grand jury. So what you would do is take the same evidence you put in front of a judge and you put it in front of a grand jury, and the grand jury, if 16 to 20 out of 27, whatever the numbers are, agree that they think there's a case there, then he'll be indicted, and it won't be a judge's decision, to be a grand jury's decision. All of those other things take time. The quickest route was, hey, judge, sign this paper. And he just decided not to do it. For whatever reason. Now, Don has lawyered up. He went to the son of Biden. What's his name?
Hunter?
Hunter's lawyer. So Hunter's lawyer is Don Lemon's lawyer now, because he wants to fight this, as he says. So, yeah, we'll see. But look, at the end of the day, he had knowledge of it going into it. They say he knew what he was doing. You can't just walk into an event like that and claim just because you're press that you have a free pass, that you get to stand side by side and do what the others are doing. So we'll see what the actual evidence comes out. Now, the other thing that's going to happen now that they've arrested these three, especially the two leaders, they'll be able to dig through all of the paper trail or digital trail, from phone calls to who knew what at when, did Don know this was all going down? Was he part of the communication? All of that will come to light as part of evidence from the other two that have been arrested.
So we'll see. We'll follow it. Again, it's this entire thing. To me, the more coverage, the more stuff that is put out about all of this. Obviously, this is a divisive moment, and our country right now, I feel like, is being set up for something just absolutely horrid. If you look, this is an issue that both sides are going to absolutely be vehemently behind. So, yeah. And then simulation found that civil war could be triggered by exactly what ICE is doing right now. This is another statement, and this is another thing that comes out that's basically pointing to what exactly is happening right now is the very trigger for a possible civil war. Again, they said that what's the most surefire way to achieve Civil War 2.0 in the United States? According to one wild simulation, it's exactly what's happening right now in Minneapolis in October 2024. And we didn't cover this back then, but this is the kind of thing like right before CV, the cough back in 2019, we saw all of these simulations and these tabletop exercises essentially going over what could possibly happen if something came out or if we all got, started coughing. And there was these tabletop exercises that went through this scenario, and that scenario seemed eerily similar. When you go back and actually look at it and then see what happened, you're like, wow, that's creepy. Kind of like, what was that Contagion movie? That was almost identical to what happened, right? It was this picture of what was going to happen. And then, but not too long after that came out, it was like a year later or something less, it started happening. So when you see this kind of thing, in October 2024, researchers at the Center of Ethics and the Rule of Law, CERL, at the University of Pennsylvania conducted an experiment in which the president ordered a widely condemned federal law enforcement operation in the city of brotherly love. To carry out the operation, the simulated president federalized the Pennsylvania National Guard, which the governor resisted. National Guard troops who sided with the state followed suit, prompting the fictional president to order acting U.S. military troops to march on Philly. According to CERL Director Claire Finkelstein's breakdown of the simulation newly published in The Guardian, the experiment culminated in, quote, a violent confrontation between state and federal forces in a major U.S. metropolis. Now, I'm not saying that this has anything to do with it happening today, but you just really wonder if there's people in power that may have seen this study and said, that may have seen this simulation and said, hey, so wait, what do we have to do? That kind of thing, right? Finkelstein notes that the war gaming exercise included actual government officials, and former senior military leaders, none of whom considered the scenario unrealistic. The results were based off the assumption that during a rapidly evolving civil emergency like this, courts would largely be ineffective at stopping federal overreach. That overreach, of course, would happen, and then people would have a reason to then revolt. Through the early stages of the Philadelphia simulation, closely matched the brutal events citizens in Minneapolis have experienced at the hand of U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement officers. The model diverges from reality in one key way. Municipal and state officials don't seem interested in attacking ICE agents anytime soon. But that's what has been talked about. That is what has been suggested. That is what has been said that they should do. So, wow, Dex, it's pretty wild that like something like this happens and it involves actual government officials, and then all of a sudden it starts happening. Kind of weird.
Yeah, certainly. Very, very weird, very ominous. Certainly interesting that this simulation took place a couple years ago, and here we see the likes of it almost unfolding right in front of our eyes.
And of course, there's been a lot of folks that have questioned like what the heck is going on here. There's been a lot of folks that have been looking at this, question the first the first event from that first second. People were like, man, this is really, really off, just the whole thing. And it's less the event, it's more the response, it's the results, it's the media, it's how they cover it, it's social media, it's the platforms and the algorithms pushing it to everybody in a different way. We've talked more about this. I'm not going to kick a dead horse, but how the algorithm serves us up an echo chamber that just keeps echoing. All right, you'll have one person, a man and wife, watch the same TikTok video. Not only did it serve up the videos that it wanted, but say if it served up the same video, not only is it customizing their feed with videos, but it's also customizing the comments of others. So if there's 50,000 comments, how many do you think that a regular person's going to read? They're probably going to read the first maybe 10, 20, 30, 100. Well, those first 100 comments are catered to that person's actual opinion. That's what we've found. You see a man versus woman opinion, like, it could be something like a chauvinist versus his wife or something, and it will have a chauvinistic view to the man's comments. The comments will totally support the guy in the video, and the woman's comments, when she goes to her TikTok, the comments will support the woman's view of things. You could see how this could quickly get people thinking, like, I think what all of these other people think. That's the right answer. Then everybody thinks that they are thinking what everybody else is thinking. But they don't go to the buried 10,000 other comments where everybody's asking all sorts of different questions, because those are catered right out. They are literally customizing everything you see. It's not a fictional movie. It's not a sci-fi movie. It is reality now, and it is all done automatically. So, moving forward, we of course have Prepare Now. National Guard activated as 8 states declare emergencies ahead of this catastrophic winter storm set to hit 200 million people. Dex, this is going to affect you directly in Georgia. There are a lot of Foogle fam. We've gotten emails from several people stating that, they're worried about this because of the fact that their local news and they're hyping it up. We always look at these things, and like you said, a lot of times if they hype it up, it's nothing. If it's nothing, it's something. But in this case, it looks like as it got closer and more accurate, this thing is going to be bad.
Well, yeah, certainly for those who are in the ice path, I think that's probably the most dangerous because of the fact that you're going to go without power. It's inevitable. You can't have a major ice storm over half an inch of ice accumulation and not see monster power outages. And those aren't the types of power outages that are fixed the next day. They're the types that are prolonged for days, sometimes even weeks, as we saw in Texas last time. And we've even seen, even here in Georgia ages ago, we've had some ice storms that, knocked power out for quite a while. Not as bad as Texas last time. But look, this is a big swath of the nation that's going to get hit. Most people are going to get snow. Most people are just going to get just a terrible amount of snow and some monstrously cold weather. I heard some feel like temperatures in the Midwest or in the central area, like negative 50. So that's not the actual temperature. That's the feel like with the wind, but still that's some, if you're not prepared for that, that's crazy. And if your house isn't prepared for it and you don't have the ability to heat it, to withstand those cold temperatures, that's going to be very difficult, especially as we talked about with the power grid and surging on that. So yeah, this can affect flights, travel. Obviously, if you're on the road or you make your living on the road and you get stuck in all this, that can be a horrific event as well. So you got to get prepared if you can.
Yeah, and as far as panic buying goes, it is very, very, very bad. As Dex said the other night, that his daughter went to the store and understood that Walmart and other places had empty shelves, that all these places were cleared out. And that's because people aren't prepared. And last minute, they go and they buy everything they need. When you have an entire city that didn't think about something until last minute, all of a sudden they all go, and the local supply chain is then strained, and you have almost nothing on the shelves. So hopefully most of our Foogle fam, they're preppers, so they did think about this beforehand. But at the same time, since I'm not in that area, this caught me off guard. Dex ended up having local news tell him and having the attitude of, well, we might as well stock up just in case, even though we know that the local weather is almost always wrong. But that's the attitude that ends up saving you through days like this. There's people that have emailed and they said, I went to my store, I can't get milk, I can't get eggs, I can't get any of the essentials because they're all out. People are buying way too much. They're buying 10 freaking things of eggs. They're buying 10 things of milk thinking that they're going to be down for 2 weeks. And they very well could be. But a lot of preppers end up doing this months in advance, or they just always have extra stuff on hand because they know that things like this can happen at any time. Eric's Place, thank you so much. Eric's Place 432, thank you for the super. I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting independent. Thank you for the mods over in chat, and thank you everybody that has made it so far. We, of course, have a ton of great people, great members. Thank you, JPass James. See here, think. Sean CTX, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. Don't need 20 rolls of TP for a 3-day problem. Yeah, well, and that's the thing. People, through 2019, that was one of the stupidest supply shortages ever. And in my opinion, a lot of that was manufactured. I mean, how much of that, the whole thing that happened at our ports, the fact that a lot of the corporations had foreknowledge of it and had their own ships, like all of the big companies that were allowed to still make money. Well, Ma and Pa's, right? They wanted to put the middle class out of commission, in my opinion. A lot of the middle class places ended up shutting down during CV. Meanwhile, the corporations, Fred Meyer, Target, Walmart, all of these had lined up ships that were lined up the year before. Like, how do you do that if you don't know of something coming? They had their own ships come through and go to different smaller ports and already had these containers loaded up. And we knew because a lot of the actual inventory was a year old that was going out during the cough. Like, how do people overlook that? I mean, if you don't see something wrong with that, then I don't know what to say. And then the people in charge, then, everybody wants to be political about it. I would say be very, very suspicious about it, no matter who's in charge. If you have scenarios set up like that, where it looks like you have government officials that are definitely on the pay of somebody else's country. Very scary time that was. And then France seizes suspected Russian shadow fleet oil tanker in the Mediterranean. Dex, do you want to talk about that? And this is Russia seizing a tanker.
Well, France seizing a
I'm
Russian
sorry,
tanker.
yes, that I reversed it. France seizing a Russian tanker now.
France says it seized an oil tanker in the Mediterranean suspected of being part of Russia's sanctioned fleet, or the shadow fleet, as they call it. French President Emmanuel Macron said the tanker, named Grinch, the Grinch, funny name for a ship, was subject to international sanctions and suspected of flying a flag that was not of its appropriate type. The French Navy and the assistance of allies, including the UK, boarded the vessel on Thursday morning between Spain and Morocco. French maritime authorities said that they searched the vessel and confirmed the doubts as to the regularity of the flag. A Russian embassy in Paris said it had not been informed of the seizure. Moscow so-called shadow fleet is a clandestine network of tankers used to evade Western sanctions on Russian oil exports by shipping the oil on an aged tanker with an obscure ownership or insurance. The Grinch was traveling from the Arctic port of Murmansk in northern Russia when it was intercepted. French authorities said the vessel had been flying a Comoros flag, according to the ship tracking website Maritime Traffic and Vessel Finder. So, they've taken another Russian ship.
What Comoros? Where is that? What I wonder.
I've never even heard of it.
I have never heard of that either, and we've covered the map of the entire planet. So,
it's a group of islands in Africa.
Oh, I'm
thinking.
The more you know, I guess. Before we move on,
I guess one of those 140 countries that don't know those, all of them, right?
Yeah. And then marfuglenews.com/Jace, you can get, of course, a awesome service. It actually has all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics all in a one kit. It's called the Jace case, and it is very easy to get. You just end up doing a telehealth appointment with a board-certified doctor on your phone, tablet, or other device, and quickly you can get through it, and boom, you've got yourself a discreet kit sent to your door with all of those antibiotics in it. You can also add things in, like if you have somebody with asthma in the house, you can add in albuterol or others. There's a whole add-on list, so make sure to go check it out. Go to marfuglenews.com/Jace. Also check out their expert-curated trauma kits. They have all sorts of awesome things, so make sure to get your order in. It helps us out, and it gets you a big discount with the code MARF. Now, I wanted to show you this. This is a tweet by Elon Musk, and this is... So if you watch that last video, I just wanted to point this out, that, if you look at his actual post, this is today's, by the way. He was at the WEF, right, talking about his actual technology, and I'll just play a small part here.
Basically, maximize the probability, but the overall goal of my companies is to maximize the future of civilization, like basically maximize the probability that civilization has a great future. And to expand consciousness beyond Earth. Well, they're all very difficult technology challenges, but the overall goal of my companies is to maximize the future of civilization.
Now, there's also, so by the way, his company's boring company, digging tunnels and boring holes underneath the earth. Not only could that end up saving somebody, here on Earth from a major disaster, but they also talk about how if he actually did colonize Mars, you could actually have underground tunnels in Mars to end up preventing or protecting against the crazy weather and the crazy things that are going on Mars. Now, I know a big chunk of you don't believe we'll ever get there, but again, it's a crazy thought, and you could think, well, if you're on that boat, well then, what are all of his companies actually related to? More and more, he is always talking about civilization getting wiped out. He's just today. I mean, it's every single day. He's talking about that the birth rates are dropping, that possible asteroids could be hitting, that civilization is under threat, and all of his companies are somewhat related to that. Now, I've said this for 6, 7, 8 years. And I'm telling you, it is absolutely nuts that people don't put it together that all of his companies are somehow related to a potential event. I actually asked Grok earlier, I said, are there any important people that believe that Elon Musk knows of an event happening? And the Grok ended up, I wasn't even on the conspiracy one or any of the crazy other modes that it has. It said, too many to count. I thought that was pretty interesting. It had some sarcasm there, but it said that many people believe that he has some knowledge of some sort of impending doom event that is going to happen. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are watching Fallout right now. Fallout, of course, the whole plot to that is that the corporations are totally in control and that they would even drop a weapon on us themselves to sell a frickin' bunker. And you look at what the Boring Company is all about, and Neuralink downloading your actual. He says that in a couple years you'll be able to download your life and your brain just like you would save a game in a video game, right? And then rockets to get off Earth. It's like you're watching Fallout in real time right now. It's pretty crazy. The only thing that's not happening yet is Elon selling bunkers in his tunnels. And who knows, maybe in the future that will happen. There's a lot of weird things around this too. He just keeps talking about civilization being wiped out and all of these things moving forward, like Greenland, all of these odd events that, seemingly people have unconnected, but it's like, how many of these things have to happen before the major people go, hey, maybe this is what it looks like? That's the thing. In almost 95% of these cases, it looks like something's happening. Everybody thinks it's to where a huge part of the population of the planet thinks like maybe this is happening. They all talk about it. They call it conspiracy, and then it just gets put to rest. Well, as time goes on, it gets clearer and clearer and clearer that something is going on, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, it's just accepted fact that this is going to happen, or that that's a fact, or that this is, what ended up happening. It's like, I time and time again, our community and the people like us, and I mean all of you in chat, the people that ask questions, the people that see right through some of this stuff, time and time again, we're proven and vindicated in our opinions, even though the entire time we're giving our opinions, we are called crazy and that we're the stupid and weirdos. It's like, how many times do we have to tell our friends and family like we told you so? And the only thing that ever gets us is time frames. This is a slow walking demise of our entire country. There's a world war coming, and there is obviously something going on with the people above us. They are all planning for something massive. And that's what I believe. And again, I don't care if people don't think that's what's true. I mean, you don't have to believe me. Just keep, sitting around and don't prep for anything. And I promise you, you won't be better off in the future. One thing I think about though too is that, you know, say if there's a cataclysmic event, there's not much we can do about it. We're not scared of it. It's stressed out about it. If there is something coming, you know, we're going to at least live to see it, right? So with all of these things, I guess I would rather I would rather die in a cataclysmic event in this century than live in another century where nothing happened. You know, live to 100 in a century where it was boring and there was nothing to do. So, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. And then Dex, U.S. formally exits the health organization, the big one that we talked about in 2019, which is, I mean, no surprise there.
Who's on first?
What's on second?
Yeah. Well, who? Yeah, exactly. So the United States has formally completed its withdrawal from that organization. The Department of Health and Human Services announced Thursday. Trump signed an executive order on the first day of office in 2025 announcing the intention of the U.S. to withdraw from the organization due to mishandling of the pandemic and the events during the CV time period. A host of other issues the president took issue with, such as onerous payments that didn't match contributions from other member states. A year later, nearly to the day, the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, and the United States Department of State announced the withdrawal from the organization is now complete. So we are no longer part of it. I know a lot of people are probably cheering for that.
And here's the thing, you know, there's a lot of folks talking about like what is actually happening right now. There was a great one. What was it? The Diaries, CEO, the Diaries of a CEO. That channel just had a gentleman on there who is a geopolitical analyst, and he essentially says that we are right at the cusp of a collapse. That the world is, you know, that basically the U.S. was weak, and it minimized its military because we felt safe. It did all of these things over the years, and in what I caught is that he said that essentially that the president is doing a lot of these actions. He has my opinion that the president is taking some huge chess moves right now, and it very well could be a positive thing. Like I said, it could stop World War III. But it is extremely risky. He basically said what's happening right now is to try to basically reverse all these years of you know, greed and corporate entities, you know, screwing our own country over for, you know, to benefit their personal growth and personal wealth, meanwhile destroying us because they have a freaking citizenship in 8 different countries and houses in 20 different countries. They don't care if the U.S. collapses. They'll go to their home in Spain. They'll go to their house in Norway. But we don't have secondary and third freaking citizenships because we spent $500 million in a country. We can't afford that. So they don't care about our country because they have nothing that ties them to it. These are people that fly on personal jets around the world. They don't give a crap about you. They don't give a crap about anybody outside their circle. Heck, they don't want to be around people like us. We are the gum on the bottom of their shoe, and we are scuffing up their day. They don't want us around. So that's just my personal opinion. With this happening right now, I think that it goes back to 2019. It goes back to everything that happened. You know, a lot of people are saying that he potentially just started World War III with his actions with Maduro, with what's happening in Iran, with what's happening with China and Taiwan, what's happening with North Korea and South Korea, what's happening with Mexico and Canada and Greenland. But I think it's a response. I think it's a response to a first attack of a war, a new World War III, where people don't even recognize they're in one because social media manipulation and algorithms telling them that everything is okay. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the chat below. Thank you again, Eric's Place. I appreciate your support. Thank you, Gemini, Nat Tate. Thank you, Patrix. Thank you, Craig DeHunter. Nice to see you. WIS Jen, always a pleasure to see you. Of course, Ryan Alter in the house. Stephen McMahon, I don't know if I saw you yet tonight, but thank you. Again, Spectre, get your gear on. Again, L. Davis, Boxcar, and so many in the chat right now that have been with us for a very, very, very long time. All right. And Flex Shadow says, Marfo is buzzing. Yeah, that's unfortunately my heater. usually I heat this place up before the show, but I didn't have a chance. So I appreciate that. Chat. Oh, chat is buzzing. Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you guys were talking about the heater. And then Dr. Huru, what is going on in Top Pop Johnson? Christ is King. Hey, nice to see you. Sully's World. And let's see here. Oh, and the border situation. Everything that's going on. Golden Dome. It's wild. It's absolutely wild what we are living through right now. And then Trump sues J.P. Morgan Chase and CEO Jamie Dimon for $5 billion over alleged political debanking. Dex, this is a big one because a lot of folks did get debanked over the last 7 years. And it's just, it was horrible, especially in Canada, too. Canada folks got debanked as well during their one, shot at protest. You want to talk about this?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a major, massive lawsuit. So the president's attorney, Alejandro Brito, filed the lawsuit Thursday morning in Florida, of all places, the state court in Miami, on behalf of the president and several of his hospitality companies. Brito quoted J.P. Morgan's code of conduct, which states the bank operates with the highest level of integrity and ethical conduct. He said, "We set expectations high and hold ourselves accountable. We do the right thing, not necessarily the easiest expedient thing. We abide by the letter and the spirit of the laws and regulations. Everywhere we do business, we have zero tolerance for unethical behavior." The lawsuit states that, citing the bank's code of conduct, despite claiming to hold these principles dear, JPMC violated them by unilaterally and without warning or remedy terminating several of the plaintiffs' bank accounts, the lawsuit claims. So this all happened right after the events. And it happened to lots of different people. So apparently, he's got a lot of money in the sense that if his accounts are harmed or turned off or shut down and debanked, and it's not just him, it's his businesses. So obviously a $5 billion lawsuit, that's pretty sizable. We'll see if it gets to that level. It'll probably settle. I could only imagine,
what if he wins?
Maybe they'll fight it all the way through. And yeah, what if he wins $5 billion?
Wouldn't that be a precedent?
Yeah, probably.
Couldn't it? I don't know where it goes. This doesn't go to the Supreme Court, right? This is a lower, but can this go to the Supreme Court? Is this kind of thing, or is this just a personal?
This is a civil matter. So
yeah, I just wonder if that could set. Can a civil matter, if he does end up winning, could that set a precedent where other people that got debanked, say regular civilians that got debanked, say for driving their semi or something when they were supposed to be at work, could that set a precedent for something like that worldwide or in the United States?
Yeah, it certainly would. Once one company sees that another company lost a lot of money over an action and a court has a case on it, then that case law is usually referred to by others. So they will quickly react and find ways to not either do that again or potentially limit any damages that they may have from outstanding liabilities.
Think about what happened in Canada. Think about if you were protesting on the street and you're saying especially a lot of the people that did it on their own, that they had their own company, their own truck, and they were going and protesting and then had their banks shut off. Like that to me is tyranny. Just crazy. And then Putin's kill switch, Russian tech shuts down Starlink in Iran. So, Dex, now we kind of have an answer or supposed answer about what is going on here.
Yeah, we suspected it was Russian at the time, but I guess it's somewhat, a confirmation. It said when Iran first blocked Starlink and its internet blackout began, war monitoring site Megatron immediately attributed it to Russia's tech. It's now much clearer that Russia has been delivering to Iran with its military transporters the last few weeks Starlink jamming systems. So look, no surprise, like they invested and figured out how to do Starlink jamming in Ukraine. They needed to because they were using Starlink to attack them. So
I thought I heard you wrong. It's called Megatron.
Yeah. It's a war monitoring site called Megatron.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's awesome.
But no, that's not the name of their Starlink jammers.
That's okay. That would be awesome, kind of. anyway.
But anyway, it makes total sense that Russia, which is why we said it from the get-go, it's more than likely it's Russian tech because they're the ones that have been fighting against this. I mean, that's part of the benefits of this Ukraine conflict is that Russia got to see how advanced a lot of the Western weapons were, learn what they could do to fight against them, and as well as the West would see what Russia was up to. So all of that is happening here, and a good example is Starlink jammers are now being put out in Iran via Russia, which I'm sure they're going to figure out how to get around the Starlink jammer.
Craig McMahon says, "Say it, Marf," and then say it. What do I need to say? I don't know. Let me know. What did I not say? And then Briarpatch says, "I got debanked. Guess you can only have a zero balance for so long." That hits too close to home. When I was like 19, 20, yeah, if you go negative and then it just kind of stays there, and then you'd lose your bank account. Yeah, I was 19 once and an idiot. Space Monkey, the world doesn't want God. Leah Locke says, "I also think there's a lot going on to distract from certain files." See, I don't know. I think the files are just brought up over and over again to distract from other stuff that's going on. I mean, it's so tiring hearing about the Epstein files and not having anything released and nobody arrested. It's just like, because here, think about this one. Every single person on the planet knows about these files. It's not like it's a secret, like, oh, don't talk about those. Everyone knows about it. Everyone is across the board calling for people to get arrested. The only people that aren't are the people on the list. The entire planet is calling for people to get arrested on these things, and no one is. So if to say that as a distraction, it's like, well, or that we're being distracted away from that. Everybody's attention's always constantly on it. And it does nothing. They have a system so secure that these freaking oligarchs, they don't care. They don't worry about getting in trouble because one can't get the other in trouble because then they'll go, well, but you're on it too. They're all on it. That list of people alone on the jet is just staggering. I mean, it's just nuts. And then make sure to go check out My Patriot Supply if you don't have food on hand. If you, again, are somebody who has less than 3 days of food in your fridge, then I would highly recommend, especially with situations like right now going on, you can still get a very quick shipment of My Patriot Supply. They have freeze-dried foods in huge, huge deals. You're talking about cheaper than if you went to the grocery store and got 3 months of food. You could get a 3-month kit with all of essentially 3 days, 3 meals a day for 3 months for one person. Or if you split it up, you could do, again, a month and a half for 2 people or a month for 3 people, all in one, again, kit that they have at a humongous discount. They also have a huge discount on their 1 months, and they also, of course, have all the way down to a 72-hour kit and others. So again, you can get a little bit at a time if you want to get it up, because they these last 25 plus years. Freeze-dried food is the best way to preserve food. It keeps in almost all of the flavor, and when you want to eat it, all you have to do is either add water, cook it in water, or cook it in sauce, and then boom, it brings all the life back together. And then again, it also keeps almost all of its flavor. It is a great way to have food on hand and to not take up that much space. Freeze-dried food is shrunk down to its minimum. And then once you add that water in it basically like a sponge, it soaks it all up, and boom, you've got yourself an awesome meal. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, that is marfooglenews.com/prep. If you use that link, you do not need a code. You will automatically get any savings that are applied. All right. And then, Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Thank you, guys. Thank you again, Eric's Place. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the support tonight. Thank you to all of the members that were here tonight. We are not going to be doing a shout here tonight, so I appreciate all of you. Thank you again to our mods. Make sure to go check them out over on marfooglenews.com/friends. And then also make sure to go check out the news tab. Of course, there's that video I did right before this talking about the Sunspot Solar Observatory. So make sure to go watch that after you watch this if you haven't already. Thank you, Stephen McMahon. I appreciate that. Thanks for the last minute support. Dropped an M in the chat for the mods. Thank you, Stephen McMahon. Appreciate you. And have a wonderful night. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Thank you, Patricia Dahl. Thank you, Mary Miles. Just Some Guy. Skyson High. Mark Nibbs. Wiz Jen. Engineered to Succeed. And again, Stephen McMahon.